Hello artists! Today we're going to draw a fun sort of cartoony thing that's called a switch-a-roo. And what it looks like is a person or any kind of object, and it's cut and the paper's been folded. So I have a lady here. I have another figure on the second one. And then on the inside, I have a third very different character. And the switcheroo is that you can see the person, you can switch their head, you can have all kinds of different combinations. And they can be really funny and silly. You can do a lot with these, and they can be as simple as you want them to be, or they can be as detailed and complex as you want them to be. Now, what we're going to need to do this is a piece of paper. We will need some scissors, something to draw with, and something to color with. All right, so let's get started. First, I'm going to take my piece of paper and I'm going to be working with it horizontally. So it's wider rather than tall. And this is the tricky part. So if you might have to play with it a little bit and try it over and over again, but we want to fold our paper into thirds. We want it to try to be as even as possible on three portions. So there's a left side, a middle portion, and a right side, and they're all roughly the same width. Okay, so if I fold it over, and again, I might have to play with this a little bit to try to get it to line up. And I'm going to give my paper a crease so that it stays closed. And line up my corners as best I can. It does not have to be perfect. And you might end up making several of these. So, you know, the more you do, the better it gets. But what we have is a piece of paper that is, both pieces can fold over flat. And I can close it all up if I needed to. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I've got my, after I've folded, I'm going to close up my paper, and I'm going to make two light lines. I'm going to divide this vertical shape into three portions: a top for a head, the middle for the body, and the bottom part for the legs. Now, in my first example that I did, you'll see that I tried to make them as even as possible, but the legs got really short. I think for this time around, I'm going to make the leg part a little bit taller, and that makes the body part in the middle a little bit shorter. And I'll show you what that would look like. I'm going to draw a line very lightly going across, and that tells me that when I draw the head of whatever it is I want to draw, I should keep it in this top part here. Now I've got this very large bottom area, and I'm going to draw a line so that the bottom part is a little bit taller than the medium part. And again, I'm going to, doesn't have to be an exact measurement. I'm just going to draw a line going across. Okay, so you can see that the bottom part is a little bit taller than the middle part. Okay. Now, you can design whatever it is that you want to design. So I think the first thing I'm going to draw, I'm going to draw maybe a very fancy lady. I think that would make it a kind of a funny drawing. And I'm going to be drawing in sort of a cartoon style. And the reason why I like cartoon style is because you can exaggerate your shapes and make them look cartoony. And that also means that you don't have to worry about making everything looking completely realistic, okay? As long as we know an idea of what it is that we're looking at, then I'll be okay. So I can exaggerate her lips. Maybe when I draw this, color it in, I'll make them shiny, shiny red. Let's see, what kind of hair should she have? What kind of eyes will she have? Let's give her some eyebrows. And I'll give her some long, fancy eyelashes. Right now she's got no hair at all, so we need to fix that. So I'm going to, let's say, so I'm going to make this cartoony so I can add some curls and swirls here to look like she's got some curly hair. Okay. And I'm going to make some lines that show definitely at that part. I'm going to keep the head and the neck above that line that I drew. And I've got to remember that whatever I draw for the middle part, her body, it's got to be between this line at the top and this line at the bottom. So let's see. She has let's give her some puffy sleeves. She sort of looks like a cartoon Cinderella, doesn't she? And let's see. Maybe she's got a great big bow in the front. I'll give her some arms. And I'm just going to draw some cartoon hands. Maybe she's got a fancy ring on. I can add some color. Maybe she's got a very expensive looking bracelet. I can color that with gold or silver. Maybe she's got a big bow. Maybe she's got some crazy designs, like some flowers. We can be as silly as we want to, because it is a cartoon after all. Okay. And then let's give her a big fancy ball gown dress. her some cartoon shoes and legs. And let's put some silly patterns. On her dress. Okay. So before I draw the other or to cut it, I'm going to go ahead and color what I've got. That way it is it's easier to color because it's all one piece, and it might rip if I had to cut and then color. So I'm using some colored pencils, but you could use markers, you could use crayons. Let's see. She needs some fancy lips. Maybe I'll give her some red shoes. I'll go back and get that yellow, and I'll make her stars yellow as well. Okay. And I think I'm going to use maybe a dark blue for the bottom of the dress. Now, you don't have to have a fancy lady. You could have had a cowboy or a cowgirl, a police officer, a ninja, a firefighter, a doctor, a chef, a bird. Doesn't have to be a person, does it? And let's give her some crazy wild eyeshadow just to make it silly. Okay, so I've got my first person. I'm going to take scissors and I'm going to very carefully cut on that pencil line. Here. Okay, so when I open up that middle part, I'm going to see where I need to make a connection. I'm going to make a mark. The lady's neck here tells me that this next person's head should be connected right there to make it make sense. And here, where her dress is starting to form at the bottom, I'm going to make 2 little marks. And that tells me that the legs coming down, they should start at these 2 points and come down. Okay, so that's my guide. Now, if it helps, I can draw a pencil line across. That might help me remember not to go too far. Let's see, for this one, I think I'm going to do a, I think I'll do a scarecrow. I think scarecrows are kind of cool. I'll give him some button eyes. And a stitched on nose. I'll give him a piece of hay sticking out of his mouth. And I'll put some patches, because you wouldn't give a scarecrow brand new clothes. You dress a scarecrow in all the old tattered clothes that got holes in. Okay, so I've got the head, and let's see. Next I'll draw his farmer's shirt. And I'll put the hay that he's stuffed with coming out of his old flannel shirt. And let's see. Give him some buttons. I'll draw a pocket. Maybe there's a baby bird in his pocket. He's not a very good scarecrow if the baby bird's not afraid of him. Okay. And I'll draw some lines and patterns in his shirt with the colored pencil. I think I won't do it with the black ink. And then finally, I'll draw his pants, and I'll put the straw coming out. And I'll draw some patches on these old pants of his. Okay. So I've got a scarecrow, and now I'm going to add some color. And the cool thing about a scarecrow, it's all cloth and hay, so they can really be any kind of color we want. You could draw your Scarecrow if you're choosing to do a Scarecrow, like the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, or make one up completely on your own. There's no wrong way to do it. And then now, I'm going to add the pattern in his shirt. I'm going to start with some vertical lines. Lines going up and down. And then I'll draw some horizontal lines. And if you notice, I'm curving my line a little bit. That sort of makes the Scarecrow not look as flat. And I think I'll give him some blue buttons. For his eye. And a red patch for his nose. All right. So I finished this guy. And what I'm going to do is very carefully, I'm going to cut that pencil line again. Okay. So that I have the head, the body, and the legs. And I'm going to open it up. I'm going to keep the middle part right where it is, and I'm going to make my little marks. Neck and the body. And I won't be cutting any more, but if it helps, I can draw a line that connects those two cuts to those two cuts, and that sort of keeps me remembering where my head needs to stop, the body needs to stop, and the legs. Let's draw something very different. I'm going to draw this time one of my favorite things. I want to draw a robot. You can have a lot of fun with robots because you could make them look however you want. Because we're doing the cartoon style, I don't have to worry about perfect circles, perfect straight lines. Because it's a cartoon. Let's see. I'm going to give this one these weird claws for hands. We can put some buttons and dials. And then for the legs, maybe this robot moves around on a giant wheel, like a tire. You could put robot legs. You could do all kinds of things. Your robot could be running on a battery, or maybe he has to be plugged into the wall to charge up. So let's see, let's color this robot. I think I'm going to use some gray, but it doesn't have to be gray. I could make, metal could be painted all kinds of different colors. I think I'm going to make lots of parts gray, but I'm going to leave some places where I can have some fun with some more colors so that it all doesn't look exactly the same. Find a, let's see, a bright red. Yellow. Maybe some green. And maybe some blue. All right, so let's see what we've got. Oh. There we go. All right. We have a robot. We have a Scarecrow. We have a fancy lady. And so if you notice, every head is kind of different. The arms are different. The feet are different. So I can switch it out. So I can give her all kinds of combinations. And there you go.